Mystery Island House Rules is the third Hallmark Mystery Island film to be released in 2025. As I've mentioned in my previous discussions, there was a film released in 2023. I haven't seen it because it's not currently available in the UK, but I have seen the previous two 2025 releases. And honestly, on its own, House Rules is not terrible. There are things that I will praise, but I feel like it's not different enough to really warrant its existence. I just feel like maybe because they released 3 in the same year, it seems overkill and repetitive. So it's difficult. Judging on its own, it's absolutely fine. But watching them pretty much back to back, with them all being released in pretty quick succession, it's not the strongest experience. This was released, of course, in 2025. It's directed by Clare Niederpruem, written by John Christian Plummer, with a cast including Elizabeth Henstridge, Charlie Weber, and various others. And I won't go into too much detail about the previous films, but basically Mystery Island involves this kind of retreat where there are murder mystery events and people come together to take part in this, and inevitably there's going to be a real murder. Somebody's actually going to, I was going to say get hurt. I feel like that's downplaying the seriousness. There are going to be crimes. And this one does step things up a bit with a proposed expansion. I can see they are making an effort to try and make it different, to try and make it bigger and better. I still don't think it works very well in terms of making it feel different, but I do see that an effort was made. And of course we have a murder. And the story itself is fine. I'm not that enthusiastic about the narrative, or at least as I was, certainly compared with the first film, not as much as the second film, and that's because we're dealing with a lot of the same characters. It's the same kind of environment. We do have quite a variety here with indoor locations and outdoor locations, but obviously it's a very similar setting, and compared with Hallmark's other mystery films, there's usually a difference. Yes, they can be very similar, but usually the characters will maybe go on a work trip and there'll be something that happens there, or they'll be visiting different properties. This is obviously all centering around the same place, so it doesn't really feel any different. And yes, the narrative itself is different. It's not the same. We have new characters. Obviously it's not the same person being murdered again and again, but at the same time it just doesn't feel fresh enough. It doesn't feel that different enough. So there's nothing wrong with it, but I really wasn't that invested in it. The setting itself is becoming a bit stale. I do feel like we had a bit more to look at in this one compared with different films, or the previous films rather. I do feel like they're trying to make it a little different, but again, it's just not really enough. But it does look great still. Again, judging it purely on its own, it looks fantastic. The locations are stunning. The lighting is wonderful. It is so gorgeous to look at. And that definitely does help when the narrative itself maybe isn't holding my attention that much. The other issue I have with this is that the characters are not that interesting. I don't dislike them, but I think Emilia and Jason are a little bit dull, and I did feel this way with the previous film, and certainly I wasn't really that taken with them by the first film. I think they were okay in the first film, if I remember correctly with how I felt, but obviously with the first film you're just getting to know them, but by the third film I've kind of made up my mind. They're well enough written, the performances are good, but I do not care about them. I could not care less about their journey, their story. I'm really not interested. So it feels very similar. The story itself is fine, the characters are fine, but I really don't care very much. Would I watch another film? Yeah, I would, of course. I'll give it a chance. I'll watch every Hallmark film. But at this moment, I'm not looking for another Mystery Island film. Each one individually, they're fine. House Rules works well enough, but there's nothing about it that has a spark. The characters are kind of dull. The narrative is fine, but it doesn't really offer anything too interesting. It is gorgeous, though. Visually, it is so, so beautiful. So that does work in the film's favour. On its own, Mystery Island House Rules is fine, but if you're watching these either back to back or at least within a relatively short space of time, which, to be fair, if they're released in a relatively short space of time, is not something that should be discouraged. I feel like if they're releasing them quickly, it's fair enough to watch them quickly, then it's not going to be that great. But watching it on its own, or at least trying to judge it on its own, House Rules is, I guess it's absolutely fine.